Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor. I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back. Now, last week I spoke about work-life balance and kind of how me playing games with you guys in the evenings is kind of um, part of my work-life balance kind of schedule and the way that I work around stuff so that I don't burn myself out, so I don't go crazy, so I'm able to continue to push against some pretty heavy obstacles at times. But I didn't really speak so much about the how of all of it last week. I talked about what work life balance was and why it's important. Making sure you don't burn yourself out and that it doesn't affect your health and all that kind of thing. But this week, I feel like this is again long overdue, and I want to talk about how you can foster greater work life balance in your situation. Now, the first thing, which is something that I've touched on already in my video last week, and in regards to all the videos that I do that are gaming or that are just kind of tangential stuff um, in other places, it's you have to build kind of relaxation time and time for all those other things that you feel are important. Family, exercise, all of the other things like hobbies, gaming, for instance, in my and writing in my particular personal instance. Um, you need to have a good number of periods that you can just set as part of your schedule for the week. You have to draw your boundaries and your lines in the sand when it comes to when you're working and when you're not working, when you're pushing for something and when you aren't. Because if you don't do that, then it can be really, really difficult to wind back from it later on. Yeah, if you start taking clients at every time of day, every day of the week, all for the same price, no limitations, no restrictions, no nothing, then let's say you want to change. Let's say that then you have a family, that you have extra things that you want to do with your time, that your health is suffering and you need to push for more exercise and all that kind of thing. Then dropping your working hours, drawing lines and creating boundaries so that your clients can't call on you as often, that's not going to work as well. People are going to take umbrage with that. They're going to be upset with the fact that they can't call on you the way that they have before. And considering that, especially for people who are self-employed, that can kill a huge chunk of their livelihood, especially for kind of entrepreneurs and people like that are developing businesses, having sudden shifts in what you're doing, that aren't necessarily always the best communicated either. That can be really, really troubling and taxing for your clients, the people that are allowing you your lifestyle. And so, setting out from the outlet that you have working office hours from X time to X time, that you have certain specific things from one area or another, and all that kind of stuff, making sure that you yourself know that for instance, with me, it's a case of, right, well, if I'm doing X on Monday, seeing people about potential business opportunities on Tuesday, client on Wednesday, Thursday, I've got to record half of my videos, which are probably these ones, the coaching ones. Then, whilst I may very well have preferred to have more time to maybe do a couple of games here, a couple of games there, I go, okay, so Friday is my admin day, so I do a little bit of paperwork of various sorts, and then I record the other 5 videos, and then end of each day, cut off at about 5 o'clock, 5:30, have food, spend time talking to Hannah, finding out how her day has been at the very least, and then maybe play another game or do something else with friends or go out or whatever else, depending on what is going on at the time. Over the weekends, again, I don't post videos on the weekend anymore, but I've got my blog post that has to go up, and usually the weekends now are mostly consumed with how time consuming editing and uploading to YouTube can be. So in my particular instance, my schedule is fairly well defined. I have a certain time in the morning that I start getting up to work. I have a certain time at the end of the day that I don't, and I try to, at the very least, spread out the kind of gaming content that I generate for you guys or whatever else as best I can into the kind of end of day or like later afternoon, so that it's a nice wind down whilst I'm still doing something productive that I can put out for you guys. It's still something that I can kind of relax with. And as with when I was playing Heat Signature more, it was a very relaxing game for me. It was something that I enjoyed playing, and it's something that, even though I've now moved on to other games, it's something I'm still playing in the background just to chill out with as I progress towards the end of the game, which I'll probably bring back to you guys. The next thing that we need to touch on, though, point number 2, is that there are some activities that will just drain you. They will take up your time, they will take up your energy. When I was working corporate, these were kind of telegraphed as time bandits, which to me is always like the kids movie, the kids time travel movie from God knows how many years ago. But you need to learn to either find ways to streamline them or ways to drop them. If there is a specific set of things that you are doing that are draining your time and your energy whilst you're working, simply put, try and find a way to streamline those, because then it will allow you more time for other things that will either be productive for work or might even just be relaxation time to allow you to recoup, regenerate, and get back on with the next thing. In terms of your time outside of work, though, you need to do the same. So if it would be a case of shopping, for instance, we all need things that we need to go to the shops for to survive. Yeah, thankfully we no longer have to go and hunt and gather for things, but going to the shops can be an inconvenience when you run out of something unexpectedly, or when other things kind of just suddenly necessary, or if it's just a case of this is your weekly shop, but it's an hour's worth of time that you maybe could be relaxing or using to spend with your family in a better way or whatever else. Ultimately, the way to deal with that is either delegate or hire people to do it on your behalf. You know, there are numerous places that now do delivery from main chain supermarkets and things like that. Might be something to take advantage of. Or, spinning it around the other way, find a way to enrich and develop those activities in a way that they are no longer energy sapping and are maybe more worthwhile. Turn them into something that's more of an adventure that you can go on with your kids, with your family. Gamify it in some way. Turn it into a chore that then has a reward afterwards. Something like that. You know, it's all stuff that you can do to just make it less draining, and that's the whole point. We want to try and keep you as energized as possible, so that you can be as productive as possible in everything you do, not just the work side, not just the home side, in everything as much as possible. And that can be difficult. It can be incredibly difficult. You know, it can really be a juggling act depending on how many things you've got going on at any one time. And even if you've not got that many, they can just be really, really tough. They can be immovable, heavy objects, heavy obstacles for you to try and juggle with. And so, holding one whilst two are in the air can be incredibly tough to kind of balance out and kind of daunting to tackle as well. It can be really tough to do. So it's something to keep in mind and try and narrow down on as much as you possibly can. And talking of kind of remaining energized, you need to remember that a little relaxation can go like miles. You can relax for 10, 15, 20 minutes, just having a break, change of scenery, going for a walk, having a drink, whatever else, just anything that can break your cycle of kind of pushing and pushing and pushing, just to allow yourself that moment to relax and regenerate and recoup. Because enjoying these kind of small things every once in a while, it's not enough. We have, as humans, tend to have an attention span between like 20 and 40 minutes. and pushing beyond that. Some people, especially if they get into that kind of flow space and they're kind of running with everything, and it's still just one thing knocking into the next, that's fine. But if you're doing something that's just mediocre, normal, uniform, then it's something that may burn you down over time. And having that small break at the end of the day, that small reward, just before lunch or something like that, that's not going to keep you going as well as, say, a 10-minute break for a stand-up, a walk, a go to the toilet, and just a breath of fresh air before then getting back to work for the next 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever. Those little points of relaxation that may very well be impromptu. If you've got your working day and you've got lunch smack bang in the middle, and then you've just got these 2 big blocks of time that you're working through, they're going to be hours. If you're working a kind of average 8 to 10 hour working day, you're going to have blocks potentially of 4 to 5 hours at a time where you're expected to just work straight. Now, obviously, if you're being overseen by other people, you might have very set times for breaks and things like that. You won't be able to monitor yourself as easily or as well. But if you've got control of yourself, then it's something to kind of keep in mind when it comes to kind of new stuff that's coming up, new things that you need to do, and how you can progress in regards to kind of keeping your productivity high and making sure that you've got everything going for you in the best way possible. If you run out of energy, then you're kind of screwed. You aren't going to be able to keep up with whatever it is that you've been doing for the first 2 hours, say, and then those other 3 hours or something is going to burn you down. It's going to kind of drive you up the wall. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about, point 4, is ultimately the only person that can make these changes is you, and it's very important to make sure that these things are taken care of. No one else can force you to do these things. No one else can kind of push you in any one way or the other. So you have to make choices about your life, and you have to work with them in a very clear way. Because if you're being vague and not being kind of focused on what you want, then you're not going to get anywhere. So when having a group of people around you that are supportive and loving and can help you out, or that you can delegate to and that are capable and whatever else, that's great. But you need to make your choices, and when you make your choices, you need to make sure that you are communicating them properly. And by that I mean clearly, I mean with specifics, because as with what we were just talking about a moment ago in regards to time bandits and in regards to having a schedule and all those kind of things, if those aren't communicated, then they may as well not be there. If something isn't working, then you're not complaining about it. You're letting people know that it's not working. You're potentially looking for feedback. And then, as we were saying in regards to time bandits in point 2, you need to kind of jump on it and go, okay, well, we need to either remove this or minimize it. We need to gamify it so it's less draining. We need to focus on it in a way that's functional. We need to get rid of it entirely, or we need to work with other stuff that will help us out. And if we can't do that, then we might be in a bit of a tough situation. But anyway, guys, those are the 4 points that I wanted to bring to you guys in regards to work-life balance. If there are any others that you guys have, I'd love to hear them. I'd love to know what you guys do in your life to make sure that you don't go nuts. That you have that balance between your work life and your kind of home and hobbies and whatever else. Obviously, I understand, especially from working shifts for God knows how long in previous jobs, it can be incredibly tough, it can be incredibly difficult, and I sympathise with anyone who's working in something like retail or hospitality, because you guys are probably completely unable to control your own work-life balance, and it's probably kind of grinding you down. And so I hope maybe some of these points that I've just touched on here are ways that you guys can maybe just do a couple of things just to try and give yourself a little bit more time, because it's such a crap situation with some of these contracts that you get these days, and some of the work hours that you get forced to do in entry level or even kind of middle management jobs, that take over your entire life. So, you know, I hope that you guys can gain a little bit of benefit from this, because if anyone, I think you guys in entry level jobs doing 12, 16-hour shifts are the guys that need this more than some. So either way, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments, but otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the video later. I need to keep remembering that. Anyway, take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you found this at all interesting or useful, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the video later. Take care.